How's it going, everyone? Kellan Reck here, and today we're going to go over building a home studio for your YouTube setup. It's going to go from looking like this to this. So today we're going to talk about how I get a setup like this in a small space. I know there's a lot of you creators out there who are building your setups now at home, whether it's in a bedroom, a small office, a corner of your apartment or your home, and you want to figure out how you can make it look nice, how you can make it look like a real studio, because a lot of us are working from home right now and we want to get that look, and there's just not a lot of room to do it in. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the steps of how I was able to make this transition in my own bedroom to get this full studio setup that looks really nice for YouTube, Zoom, Instagram, wherever you're creating and posting content. And we're going to do that all right now. Now, this is my initial setup. It's not great. I just threw my camera down. I've got a window behind me. It's casting light. I don't have any light in front of me. I'm using the overheads. I've got the onboard audio from my camera. Now, I've done a video like this in the past, but now I'm in a new space, so I want to do it here and show you again how I would go through this setup in a different space. So before I do anything with the look of my setup, I want to switch my audio. Right now I'm using the onboard audio for my DSLR, but what I want to use is a lav microphone. And you can get these for about 15 to 30 bucks cheap on Amazon or B&H. They'll plug right into your camera. They can connect right onto your shirt. And notice the difference in sound quality as we switch right now from the DSLR camera to the onboard lav mic. It's going to sound really nice, gets you a better feel of everything, and gonna actually add a lot of value to your content. So now let's get into the look of everything. The first thing I wanna do is just show you exactly how this room looks. Now I'm gonna use this camera to walk around and kind of show you what I've got here. I've got a window over here. This is just my bedroom, a window here, but you can see we're working in a really small area. I've got my camera pretty much up against the corner of the room. I've got my desk, a little bit of art. There's a little bit of a shelf I installed, but there's not a lot going on. It doesn't look great. So we're gonna have to do a few different things to really step up the production quality that we're working with here. The first thing I wanna do is install a light and adjust the angle of my camera, my main camera here, because I don't like, right now it's just shadowy, it's dark, there's too many things going on. So let's start adjusting the camera and we'll install an umbrella light so that we can start to build out a flatter, nice look for the image. First, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna adjust this camera back, and I wanna kind of put the corner of the room in the corner of my shot. And you can see what we've got going on here, kind of adding some nice depth into the corner. We get rid of that window, which is too much of a highlight behind us. Now we've got what feels like more depth, even though there's not a lot of space. We've moved the camera back just a little bit, more space here. So now what I wanna do is I wanna turn on this umbrella light, which I've just set up in front of me next to my camera. Now, these umbrella lights are really not too expensive. So here we are in the new position with no light on. Now I'm gonna turn on the umbrella light and you'll see the difference. Now we're getting a much more studio feel. We're blasting in a lot more light. However, the problem is the current settings we're using are not gonna work for us. The settings we're currently on, we were on a cranked ISO, so we were getting grainy footage. Our shutter speed was fine, but our aperture, our f-stop, was a little too high. We weren't getting that cinematic blur in the background. And that's something that now by adding more light, we can make that difference. We can bring down our ISO so it gets a little bit darker. We can open up our aperture so we get that shallow depth of field, and things will start to look a lot nicer. So here's our initial settings. And now we'll switch over to our new settings. So you can see now we're starting to get things looking a little bit nicer. We've got a nice, more cinematic fall off behind us where things are out of focus. My face is nicely in focus, but we have that background starting to blur. That's because we've opened up our aperture, we have a lower f-stop, so we have that shallower depth of field. We've also reduced our ISO, so the image is a lot cleaner, it's less grainy. We were able to do that because one, we opened up the aperture to let in more light, and we also introduced the umbrella light to give a lot more light to the scene. The next thing we want to do is we want to sort of spice up the background elements. There's not a lot going on that I'm liking right now. We've got this shelf in the background, empty white wall. We've got these monitors, but there's not life back there, and we want to do that. So the first thing I've done is if I grab this camera, you can see I've introduced behind my monitors, I put behind here one of these salt lamps. So if I turn this on, we start to get a little bit of color in the background. So we add a little bit of color behind our monitors. I'm gonna clear out of anything on my desktop. bring down my brightness on there a little bit. So you're starting to get a nice little glow in the background, and you can see that coming to life here. The other thing I want to do is introduce some elements to this wall. It's very plain and it's taking up about half of the frame. So I'm going to do that now. So here's a shot before we add anything to this back wall. We've now turned on the salt lamp behind us to get a little bit of a glow back there, but we want to do something with this side of the frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some cheap sound panels to the wall. They don't do a lot for the audio quality, but they do add a nice look, some depth, some contrast to the wall. And I also have a couple New England Emmy Awards that I'm going to put up on this shelf, and we'll start to get a feel of some texture and some depth in the background. So we're going to go from this, and we'll move on to this. And you can see now we've got something going on here. We're getting a lot of nice background action happening. And because I have this lamp over here that's giving that nice glow, I kind of want to mimic that and show off these Emmys. It's a fun thing that I'm proud of, and I want to give them a nice touch. Now, I've done a video on this bowling P1 light before. It's just an LED light. But if you didn't have something like this, you could also use your iPhone and just put on the flashlight and put it up there, and this is the type of effect you're going to get. And we could dial in the color however we want, but now we're starting to get a nice different glow atop. It's kind of drawing your eye up there. You can see something's going on that's really nice with that light up there. So one thing I'm noticing is I have my umbrella light on this side and I have a lot of window light coming through on this side. And that's fine, it's giving me a very even look on my face. However, I kind of want to get a little bit of shadowing on my face to create some depth. So what I'm going to do is take my umbrella light from this side, move it to the same side of the window, and that should get a little bit of shadow, a little bit of depth on my face. I think it'll make a little bit more of an interesting image. So let's make that switch right now. Now you can see there's a little bit more depth going on, some really nice look here. We've got a shadow on this side of my face, we've got the brightness of the windows and the umbrella light on this side of my face, and we have a lot of depth and action in the background. It creates for a really nice, unique look. So you can see if we look back at our initial shot, it's just pretty bland, there's not a lot going on. And by just moving the camera a little, upgrading our audio quality, adding a cheap umbrella light, and adding some household things to the background, you can make a drastic difference to your setup. And I've done this in other setups before, but I wanted to be sure to show you how I'm doing it in my new home, in my new apartment. You don't need a lot of room, there's not a lot going on here, and you can get an incredible looking setup for your YouTube, for your Zooms, whatever content you're creating. So I hope this helped. If it did, go ahead and subscribe, leave a comment down below, let me know how you liked the video, click the like button, and we'll check you back in the next one. Thank you.